My name is Gwendolyn Brown Henderson, and I am a native of Alexandria. I grew up on the south side of Alexandria, and I live directly across the street from Lyles Crouch. Um, I my most memorable stuff is roller skating on Gibbon Street, almost making it really dangerous for me to even go around that curve, but it was fun. And then hanging out on the playground is what I did. I liked a lot of sports. I played basketball and I played softball. And so going to Lyles Crouch and then on to Parker Gray, which I loved Parker Gray. I played basketball in Parker Gray and I ran track in Parker Gray. I had a very good track coach, and the thing is about the track coach, which was Mr. Atkins. Um, we would go into his class, and all we had to do to distract him was to start talking about the Washington Redskins. He was the math teacher. So once we started talking about the Washington Redskins, math class was over. So that was funny. So anyway, on to Parker Gray, and then after that, I transitioned to T.C. Williams. So when I got into T.C. Williams, there was a program there called the Distributed Education. And what they did was they helped us find part-time jobs. So we went to school part-time and then we went to work. And so after that I graduated from T.C. Williams and then on to starting my career, which I landed a job at the Department of State. But first and foremost, let me go back. Um, at the in that program, the distributed education, they got me a job working at Cameron Station. So I worked at Cameron Station, and my boss's name was Charles Robb. Later on, to find out Charles Robb became a senator. So I went on to the Department of State, and I got into a position where it was like a dead end. I couldn't move. So I stayed over there in that position for a while, and my mother kept telling me, why don't you get a hold of Mr. Day? So, I said, I don't know if she knows, whether I should do that or not. So what I did was I ran into him in the hallway. And I said to him, I said, Mr. Day, I said, I am in a position that will not allow me to move. So he said, well, listen, what I'm going to do is I will um, get back to you in about 3 weeks. So he did. And the next thing I know, I was moving out of that job into another office, and the office that I was in allowed me to go from clerical to the administrative part. And so, and my boss reclassified my job. So I moved up, stayed at the Department of State for 41 years, and I retired. Good career. And so then after that, I said, well, maybe I want to do something else. So I joined a group that put together a book called The Beacons of Light in the 20th century. And it was five of us, so that book was written. So then I decided, well, maybe I want to do something else. So then I decided to establish a nonprofit organization called the Alexandria Old School Alumni Association. So what we did with that was we worked in the community and we established a scholarship program for the kids that were graduating. And it was back then it was a lot of money because we were giving them this money for books and supplies. So I want to say, I'm saying all of that to say this. I owe all of my success to Ferdinand Day. He was a mentor and a true living legend. Mr. Day, well, the thing is that, when I saw him in the hallway, I was kind of frantic. But I said, I got to talk to him. He was a person that stood up for things in the community. He helped people that needed assistance, and especially I'm thinking about what he did for me. You know, I'm telling you, I stayed in that position for 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, and I think 3 weeks later I was packing my stuff, leaving out of there with a big smile on my face, saying, "Oh my God, here's a chance for me to move up," and I did. And I am so thankful to him. And that's why I say he was a friend, a mentor, and a living legend in my life. He was wonderful. I'm telling you. So that's my story. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I used to go on that playground, and then on the weekend, I used to go to the skating ring. The big skate ring was located somewhere down in this area. And we'd go down there to the skating ring on Sundays. And after the skating ring, we would go to the hot shop. And we would hang down there at the hot shop, have a good time, and leave the hot shop and go across the Washington Street to Little Taverns. Those hamburgers were so good. We used to do that every weekend. That was a lot of fun stuff. But then, on the other hand, too, we lived in a house directly across the street from Louse Crouch, as I mentioned. But in our house, we had a pot-belly stove, which we had to use coal. I can remember the days when I used to have to go walk with a sled up on Fairfax Street, and I think the name of that place was Fannin. And this Fannin still exists right now, but I don't think they do coal. But I used to walk up there, cold, I mean cold, no boots, and get that cold and come back on the sled and with the sled, and whew, that was just a mess because I'm telling you, no boots, no gloves, but it worked. It worked, and for that, for right now, what's going on for me right now in my career, I am so grateful. And again, back to Ferdinand Day, I am so grateful for him because he was the one who got me started. He is my hero.
What do you think it was that motivated him to be so involved and giving?
I think he was he first of all he was a family man, and I think he just wanted to come out into the community because he saw how things were going in the community, and he stepped up to the plate, started helping people, doing things in the community, and that was one of the things that my mother kept saying to me, "You got to talk to Ferdinand Day. You got to talk to Ferdinand Day." And he also was a member of the Departmental Progressive Club too, where my father was a member as well. But that close knit thing in the community was Mr. Day, and maybe part of the departmental club because a lot of those were guys. It was an all men club, and it still exists today. But it was something uplifting to the community. Close friends. Yeah, I have one late. Well, she's moved on to. I think she lives down in Fredericksburg now. A lot of my friends have moved out of the area, and some of my. I think it maybe I haven't seen, but maybe a couple of my classmates. But a lot of them have passed away. A lot of them have passed away. But the thing is that I used to go on that playground and play and get dirty and come back home. Later on that evening, I would take a bath and go back on that playground dressed up. That's what I used to do. And I think everybody used to do that. Just go on the playground, get dirty. They were playing ball. We were doing all kinds of stuff. And then come back home that evening and get dressed up and go back to the playground. Loved it. Loved it. That was the fun stuff for me.
It sounds like you did a lot of roller skating. Was that
I did. And listen, I couldn't even skate. I couldn't even skate. But we would start at the top of the hill, St. Asaph Street. the top of the hill, and come all the way down to Pitt Street. That's a long stretch. And I mean, and I would be squatting coming down on those roller skates. And we would go around a curve and look, not even knowing whether a truck or a bike or something was standing there. Just wasn't even afraid. Wasn't even afraid. I'm telling you, those were the fun times for me. hmm Alexandria is still my home, even though I reside in Maryland. But I come back to Alexandria to bank, to shop, and to bank, to shop, and I have like to bank, to shop, and there's one other. Oh, go to the doctor. That's Alexandria will always be my home.
How have you seen it change over the years?
Oh my God. Um, you know, I want to say this too. When I was a little girl, I used to love to go downtown. Downtown was King Street. And so one day I went downtown and not knowing, I had to be about 10. So I sat at the lunch table in G.C. Murphy's. And this, oh gosh, I had to be about 10. And I sat at the lunch table at G.C. Murphy's. And I sat and I sat and I sat. And the waitress she wouldn't, she wouldn't wait on me. And I didn't, I'm so young, I didn't know. So I'm still sitting there. I know I sat there for almost 30 to 45 minutes. Did not get waited on at all. So I ended up getting up, walking around to the side, and finally she waited on me. I still couldn't figure out what was going on, but until I got older. hmm That was, I'm telling you, that was just something. That was something. And like I said, didn't realize what was going on, but it was bad times then. Bad times. But again, Alexandria is, whoo, everything has changed. I'm telling you, everything has changed. Now, Lyles Crouch was an elementary school. Now I think it's some kind of an academy now. Yep. And let's see. And then, of course, Parker Gray, when they told us that we were going to be going from Parker Gray to T.C. Williams, that broke my heart. That broke my heart. But we managed, and when we got in T.C. Williams, everything was, in the beginning, it wasn't. But then later on, everybody kind of settled down.
What was it that made you so sad about having to leave Parker Gray?
Well, yeah, I mean, just being around my friends, and then leaving my friends, going off to a school that had, white kids, because it was something that we weren't used to. But the thing is that we had to. There were no buses for us to go to Parker Gray because I lived on Gibbon Street, so I had to walk from Gibbon Street to Madison Street. That was a long walk, but that didn't bother us. We did it. So when we started to go to T.C. Williams, we had buses. No buses when we were going to Parker Gray. But when we transitioned to T.C. Williams, we caught the bus. We caught the bus. So I mean, everything has changed. Everything just has changed. That's all I can say. hmm Well, I mean, like I said, would I say anything about that? Oh yeah, I did say that I was the founder. The founder of the Alexandria Old School Alumni Association, and that it had it had about 10 or 15 people in there, and like I said, we did communities, we had social events, community stuff, and then like I said, we decided to go ahead and establish a scholarship fund for those kids that were graduating from T.C. Williams, and it was great because we were getting donations from the community, and it was wonderful. It was just wonderful. So I will always tell people that Alexandria is my home because there are a lot of memories. hmm A lot of memories. I would just tell them that Alexandria is a good place to live, but it is very expensive. And get involved in things. Um, start to help kids that are coming up. You know what I mean? So, but basically, it's just get involved over here because it's a lot of stuff to do over here. hmm Well, I just want to say that thank you so much for this interview. For me, I'm not an interviewer. Oh, let me just say this too. We lived in the 400 block of Given Street, and we had outside toilets, no inside toilets. Mm-mm. So we had to go to the bathroom. We would have to have that little, what do you call that little pot thing sitting inside. Oh yeah, no inside bathrooms. That was, back then, me being young, it wasn't a big deal. But, huh, oh gosh, I don't even think I can go through that right now. Mm-mm. Oh no. So that's what I'm saying. Encourage the kids to um, go to school, get their education, graduate, go to college, and come back and get a good paying job. Because I have one daughter, and she went to West Potomac down in Fairfax, and she is now working at Mount Vernon Hospital as a mammography, and she enjoys it. So